Yes.
It says 60 seconds, so.
Well, I've turned it on. Hello, and I'm not sure if you can hear us. A gaming conversation. Yeah, we're live on YouTube, and are we live on Rumble? Yep. We should be live on Twitter as well. Let's have a look. Is it live? Reload. It's probably like a stickler on there. It's probably But yes, welcome to a gaming conversation with friends. We have returned once again because I wasn't very well last week. We were supposed to have Masuka on last week, but I wasn't feeling very well.
And the Renegade Master.
What say, sorry?
And the Renegade Master.
Yep, and the Renegade Master. I always say it, but
Dazarus is not happy. We arrived a minute early.
And yeah, I presume that the Twitter will kick in at 8. It's obviously
You're getting bonus content.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I know. Bonus content now. I'm just checking Rumble. See now it's not. See if it's gone live on there. Where are we? Yeah, it's already live.
You set it for 8:30.
No, it's live on Rumble. It is. So we should be good now. So let's have a look. YouTube. Is UK Dazarus in chat then?
He is.
Right. Welcome, Paul AFC. Welcome, UK Dazarus. Welcome back from the dead.
And Masuku.
And Masuku in chat. It's not. And there we go. And Masuku in chat. And Luke Steele in chat.
And Luke. So there you go. You're catching up.
Yeah, but we will have Masuku on next week to make up for last week. But anyway, Removable Sanity, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Much appreciated to obviously be back on. And of course, we have the infamous Luke Steele after his pretty expensive trip, I hear.
Yes, it wasn't. It was more expensive than I anticipated, I must say.
From the pictures you posted, I think it was.
yeah, definitely was.
So how are you, Luke? How are you anyway?
Yeah, I'm very well. Yeah, I'm really good.
How long have you been back now, if I may ask? Just because it's a couple of days or is it a week or so?
It's been, I got back last week. So like a week last Saturday, basically. So yeah, had a full week of work last week.
Of recovery. There's me thinking of work.
Yeah.
or emails. Must have been about 3 weeks worth of emails then.
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, and obviously back again this week, but just about got back to normal, BST at this point.
How far are they ahead of us, Japan? Because it's Japan you went, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So they're 8 hours ahead.
Oh, blimey! That's a big switch up, isn't it? 2-3 hours you can kind of work around. 8 is a.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, and I've never been ahead of people. Places that I've gone, I've been 8 hours behind before, but in some ways that's almost a bit easier because you can kind of marry up with people back home. It's not too bad. Whereas when you're 8 hours ahead, I mean, you middle of the night is still stuff happening in the UK. So
exactly.
So that was a bit weird. But it was nice for some other stuff because like some of the TGS stuff was going on while I was out there, and I was able to tune in at a normal time. Because I was there.
That is true. Did you bump into your idol over there?
I tried my best. I actually went to his office, Kojima's office, which is in Shinagawa. It's actually right
There's just random guy just waiting outside the door, just staring intently into the office door, licking the windows slightly now and then.
It's right around the corner from Sony, actually, the big Sony Interactive building. And he's like the 4th floor of like a pretty big office building, but in the sort of, it's not the lobby, but in the kind of main square area, he has a huge Ludens statue, which is his mascot. and you can go up to the floor that he's on, but obviously you can't go you can't go into the office.
Did
but
you try?
There is a no, I didn't. I wasn't that brave. I wasn't that brave. I felt like saying, I mean, you know, just mention my name and Hideo will know who it is. But I did go up because he does have a convenience store up there for all the workers, you know, so they get some lunch and stuff. But it has a tiny corner where you can buy his merchandise as well, which I thought was quite cool. So I snagged a few things from there while I was there.
And presumably, because obviously it's you're quite noticeable, I suspect. This random British guy that just turns up in the corner. Hang on a minute. What's he doing?
Random Westerner there. Yeah, more noticeable than other people there, obviously. So, but yeah, no, it was pretty quiet when I went. In fact, I think I went on a work day, so I think everybody was at work.
You were just hoping he would walk in. Right, yeah.
Well, I did see a video the other day where that he dropped last week on Twitter and he was walking. He walked down and took a video of that statue.
Okay.
So I was like, why couldn't that be? You know, could have. I wish it could have been the day I was there. Just so
maybe he's got the cameras. It's like as a Westerner there. He looks like he's humping the statue. We'll wait until he goes.
The thing is as well, I'm sure he must know that. Some people, like, because I've seen other people have made that trip, and literally in the area there is nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
It's literally a commercial, you know, professional area where people go to work. So I think if there are tourists, it's very clear they must come there for some like Hideo pilgrimage or whatever, because either that or they got lost, because there's nothing to do in that area of Shinagawa. It's purely all, you know, professionals and all that stuff. So
you'd fit in, Luke, professionals.
Well, yeah, but I didn't look like a professional because I was clearly a Western tourist.
That's true, yeah.
And he had his white, you know, handkerchief hat and shorts, a big camera. Yeah.
Tourist shirt on.
Yeah.
So, I love Kojima hat and
yeah. So sadly I did not see him, but though I wish I had.
I suppose in terms of the actual building, it is, you said, it's literally just like a straightforward office building with, you know, a variety of statues and assortments that's in there, sort of thing, isn't it? And I'm assuming that it's one, as you said, I was surprised to hear that it's dead round there. It's just nothing there, but kind of just like.
Yeah,
but is that? I suppose that's probably a better way, isn't it? You don't want it full of, like, I suppose, like, you don't want it in a tourist area. You don't of really want it in. I would, you know, classify like London-esque. You kind of want it in a smallish, quietish place so that people can just get on and work. Yeah.
It was a bit like it's a bit Canary Wharf-esque. Like similar. I mean, there's quite a few things there in Canary Wharf, but a lot of the massive companies are there, and you know that's the place it is. You know, there's not much tourist stuff to do there because it's not a place for that. So,
no, exactly, yeah. But I must admit, it's a little bit surprising to see that, hear about that, because I suppose in your head you've kind of got this. For me, I thought he'd be much more out into the sticks, to be honest with you. Really into the sticks, more of like he's, you know, one of those, a bit like, you know, how like some devs are like on the outskirts of Cambridge, just in the kind of like nowhere zone sort of thing. So to hear that he's in one of these, the biggest city centres, is it? Or is it just on the outskirts? Is it?
I mean, he's fairly. I mean, he's in Tokyo, but he's in, like, I wouldn't say it's the outskirts of Tokyo, but it's a fair distance from the centre. Like, even on the metro, it's probably about 35 minutes. So it's not, you know, it's.
And when you say 35 minutes, that is exactly 35 minutes, maybe 34 minutes, not like, you know, an hour later.
No, not like the UK. No, it's exactly 35 minutes.
Was that? I bet that was. I suppose, obviously, traveling in Tokyo. How did you find the differences in terms of London and in terms of Tokyo? Because
Yeah, it's not.
Well, they're
I
vast.
mean,
I'm assuming there's vast differences. We all hear like, oh, trains are always on time. It's cleaner. It's much more well
Yeah.
looked on. But it's always nice to hear it from like what I'd say as
yeah.
a tourist version in some cases than say maybe the natives, because obviously they're
Mhm.
gonna ramp it up slightly. So is that a truthful experience, do you feel, or?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not that much. It's not different per se from say this the tube, right? It's in terms of the concept, it's the same.
Mhm.
There's more of it. It's
Yep.
there seems to be more stations and such, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, certainly in terms of the efficiency of it, is far, I mean, far beyond the tube. Having lived in London for years, I can definitely attest to that.
Well, you hear
And
stories, don't you? It's like, oh, it's 30 seconds late, and all of a sudden it's like it feels like it's hot on the news or something, for like 6
yeah,
weeks of how
yes,
horrendous this
yeah,
possibly
like
could be,
yeah,
and you're like, oh, Christ.
and
So
it's
efficiency
certainly
is one of their key things, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you can pretty much look at the timetable and everything will be the time it says it will
Yeah.
be. There are sometimes extenuating circumstances, but they communicate those pretty far in advance.
Yeah, they're not going to say, "Oh, sorry, the train's delayed. There was a leaf on the
Yeah,
line."
exactly. And then in terms of I mean, it was immaculate in terms of cleanliness. Every subway station I went to, every train that I went on, it was just completely clean, which was quite refreshing.
Did it feel like we were back in the T-virus time? 'Cause they all wear masks, don't they, in Japan?
It wasn't as the mask wearing wasn't as prevalent as I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Actually,
Oh, I thought
yeah. I mean,
everyone
there was
wore them.
certainly no. Certainly, a lot of people did. Quite a few people did wear masks, but I wouldn't say that it was like wide ranging. Like in terms of percentage, I'd say like maybe 30% of the
Oh,
people that I saw wore a
that's
mask.
Well,
surprising.
mask
Oh,
wearing is generally was the idea was it's there to, if you have a cold or you're feeling a little bit
Yeah,
ill,
exactly. To
and
stop
it's
other
more
people getting it. Yeah.
yeah. So
I
it's
thought
it's more
everyone wore them.
it's a courteous thing.
I thought.
Yeah, it's a courtesy thing. Yeah.
Over, yeah, over. It's more of a courteous thing over COVID. They did obviously, but yeah, over. I think generally the ethos is it's more of a courteous to yourself. And it's a bit like the same with cleanliness. You listen to some of the Japanese YouTubers I kind of follow. They generally is like Japanese. The Japanese normally like even just like littering. They don't litter. It's always like you put something in your pocket and then you either take it home.
That is actually
Or
very true, because one thing we did notice when we were there is that they don't have many bins. There's basically
wow.
no public bins or anything like that.
Yep.
The main place you will find a bin is in a convenience store, and you can go in and
right.
put your rubbish in there.
That's really
But
interesting. That is.
yeah, so we were
Well, the
walking
idea is
around
you
with like
take it home with you if
you dispose of it in that way. But we were walking around with like a bag of empty bottles, with
Yes.
nowhere to put them for about 30 minutes until we found like a convenience store, and then you go in, then there's bins for that. And obviously if you go in a mall, there's bins. But walking along the streets and stuff, there's no bins at all.
Oh, honestly, that is not comparable. I did not expect that. I don't know much about Japan, but that I did not expect. There was
Yeah,
a lot
well,
of
I didn't
bins.
expect that either. That was quite a surprise when we went there. So
How did you find out there was the reason why there's no bins, or did you just look it up, or did someone tell you, or?
Me? I mean, the way I found out was I was like, I've got 3 empty bottles of water and I need a bin.
Yeah.
And there's no bins.
Well, yeah, that's
And there's no
basically it.
bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were looking around, and then as we kept going around, we were like, oh yeah, there's no bins here, is there? Like, there's none. And then eventually Laura, my wife, looked at it about halfway through, and she was like, oh yeah, apparently it's not a thing. So.
Really, Daz isn't too happy in chat. He said that'll be him out of a job.
No, there is cleaners there, because there's a guy who I do actually follow. It's called Tokyo Lens, and they normally come out around about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So there are cleaners. So Daz would fit out there. You still do the job, but they do it like quite early in the morning, I think. to keep the roads nice and what's it called, less traffic.
So what do they do with people that smoke? Have they got smoking bins or anything, or don't people?
I
smoke?
never saw a smoking bin. While I was
Did you
there.
ever
In
see?
fact, I did.
Did you ever see?
Smoking cafes? There is.
Did you see
There
it
is small-
smokers on the streets?
So no, there was never. I'd never saw a smoker on the street. The only
Really?
place I saw a
Okay.
smoker was well, not in, adjacent to my hotel. They'd set up a smoking room.
zone. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
actually a room that you could go into.
Yep.
And the only time I ever saw smokers anywhere in Tokyo was that room.
That's
Yeah,
really
there is designated smoking zones upon which you can kind of have a cigarette, and that's about as far as it is. Yeah, they're not. It is apparently quite. It is. I wouldn't say it's prohibited. It's more just they've set up like small little areas for everybody. Just to go and smoke if you wanted to.
That's fair enough. Welcome to Pinky of Legend. Pinky Legend. If you wonder what we're talking about, because we do quite randomly, we're talking about Luke's trip to Tokyo. So we're just making comparisons to this country.
The question really needs to be asked is: did you go to the Tokyo? It's a big, huge mall that's got tech in it, and it's like 10 or 11 floors of tech. Did you manage to get into that?
Oh God. Well, I mean, there's so many malls there. I don't know if I think you're talking about Yodobashi,
Possibly.
which is in Akihabara, which I did go to. Yes, that's
Yes,
like
I think
9
it is.
floors.
It's like, isn't it like, sorry, 9 floors. And is it like, they've got like floors of like, cameras, floors of
Yes. Yep.
It's amazing in terms of retro games, consoles and stuff like that. You can buy literally, it's like everything there in tech.
Yeah, I mean, there's so. I mean, if you go to Akihabara, that's like the sort of gaming / anime capital of Japan, really. And it's just streets and streets of gaming stores and anime and manga stores and cafes and tech stores. There's loads of chains that operate around there that themselves have tech stores of 4 or 5 different floors, full of things. I actually bought Zelda Echoes of Wisdom while I was out there, funnily enough.
Oh wow,
it came out as a released.
So was that a Japanese version then?
Yes, but it defaults to English when you pop it in a Western Switch. Like that, it's just the way it works. So it's all Japanese cover and stuff, but it just automatically recognizes it as an English Switch. So it puts it from Japanese to English.
I suppose now the question I got to ask is it cheaper out there?
Yes. I mean, like, I think I got Zelda. I mean, it's cheaper in the sense of the pound is really strong versus the yen at the moment. So you do get a lot of yen for your pound. So I think I got Zelda for I got a physical copy, obviously.
Of course, yes.
I got that for, I think it's like £32.
Wow, that is cheap. Clearly, though. Clearly, it's cheap over there. Did you see his haul? All the stuff he bought.
That's what I said.
Wasn't cheap. So
well, that's what I said. I said,
it's only cheap if you get some stuff, not if you get everything that you see.
Mine.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been a case in itself. I mean, I looked at it as like, that's a hell of a lot of stuff.
Because I replied, where are you going to pull it? And I didn't expect Luke to say, I bought an extra luggage suitcase.
You bought an extra suitcase for it?
Yeah, so
wow.
So we got like we had 2 kind of medium suitcases with like, clothes and such.
Yeah.
And then we had a bigger, like kind of like the big boy suitcase, and we left that empty. And we put one of the medium suitcases into the big boy and took that over to Japan. So we had one big suitcase that was empty that we filled up with stuff. But actually, we got so much stuff. We had to buy a new suitcase when we were in Japan. So we went into Big Camera. Shout out Big Camera, which is a great store. And we got a massive suitcase there, and we only just fit everything in that. So
what was it? Was it extra? Was it quite costly then to try and transport it? I suppose it wasn't on the way back in, was it? It's probably normally the way out, isn't it? In terms of fees. Yeah, in terms of flights on the plane and stuff like that, and talk about.
Yeah, well, we were fine because we had a really big luggage allowance. So
okay.
Yeah, so we I think we had like 2 checked bags each of 32 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
As in that was our allowance, and then also a cabin bags, which can be the small suitcases. So we didn't even get anywhere. Even coming back, we didn't get anywhere near filling that quotient up. You know, it was just the logistics of getting a new suitcase and then doing it. But it's great. It is cheaper out there anyway because, like I said, £1 very strong against yen, but 2, it's very set up for tourists because actually what they do, and it really irritates me that the UK don't do this. And it's the only place I've ever been where they do this, but it's really clever. It's when you go in and you go through border control. Obviously there's the agents there that kind of stamp you through on your passport, but they actually put a physical stamp on your passport that has a QR code, and this is if you're a tourist, and what that enables you to do is that they're really big on making sure that tourists can get their VAT back, basically, in Japan. That they don't have to pay it because they're taking goods out of the country. So anywhere you go, like the vast majority of places will offer you VAT back, which is 10%. And when you go to the till, they'll take your passport, they scan the QR code, and it registers that you're a traveling tourist.
Oh, okay.
And then it sends information.
You pay less.
Yeah. So you get 10% off basically. So it just knocks it off. So that's
better.
one reason it's cheaper again. And some places actually, to entice tourists, they would give you, say, like, obviously, your 10% off, but they would give you another 5% to go and shop there. So you get like 15% off things,
Just to, it's just like spend more.
Yeah. So it's really set up for tourists and to attract people to buy things there, which I obviously did.
Definitely took advantage of. I suppose another indulgement for you would be, not only was it the games, obviously the items and all the other aspects of it. Did you put on a little bit of weight whilst out there? In terms of the lovely food? Or was it one of those things where you ate so much you just burned it off?
Well, I was going to say, actually, I looked back when... so I actually lost about £3.
I had a gut feeling because of the actual humidity, and obviously you're burning things off as you're walking around. And
all the walking.
So in a week, I think, because I put my Apple Watch on for it, I think in a week we each walked about 180,000 steps.
Holy wow!
So literally, like in mileage, it was something ridiculous, like 60 miles for the week. It was probably more, because it's a really walkable place. It's not really hills or anything like that.
I bet you slept. I bet you both slept well at night.
I did as well, yeah. But my feet was screaming after like 5 days in. So I mean, I indulged as well with the food, but it didn't.
That's what I'm saying, because you can indulge a little bit. If you're walking around like that all the time, you're like, and the humidity as well. Your body's kind of trying to burn off stuff, the humidity and stuff.
Yeah, it was unseasonably warm as well for September, so we arrived at a weird time where, sort of the day that we got there, it was actually 38 degrees. That day, so it was incredibly warm. It's very humid anyway, and it never really dropped below about 25 degrees all week. So it was more like going there in summer. It was quite weird. So yeah, but I mean, the food is incredible, absolutely incredible. Just completely
there must
delicious.
be a single dish that you will remember.
Yeah,
that you've
I think
probably got in your head right now. You've got
yeah,
in memory right now. It's like that's the dish.
the one I remember, the one I'll definitely kind of really remember is I think on one of the last days we went to a teppanyaki and we got A5 Wagyu steak.
Hmm.
And I've never had Wagyu. I've had many different steaks, but I've never had Wagyu. And they kind of just give you like, they give you a small plate, and it was just 4 cubes of
Yep.
Wagyu.
Because it's expensive.
Yes, it is expensive, but it's not the expense as to why they give it you, because you could happily order more. I don't think they care about that as such, but it's because it's so rich that people just can't have. Like you couldn't have a full steak of this because like the taste is not comparable to anything that I've ever had before. You would literally just bite into it, taste steak, and then it would almost like dissolve in your mouth. It was quite. It was like unbelievable.
Oh wow. Okay, that sounds nice.
Like it. Yeah, it's really hard to describe. I remember myself and my wife just looked at each other as we were eating this, like a bite each, and just being like, "What the fuck is this?" Do you know what I mean? Like, what I don't understand.
Or it's food.
It's food. Eat more of it, or
it's food on a plate.
Yeah, and it was clever because we actually went to a place that was all you can eat. Wagyu. And it was legitimately that, but they were really, obviously they're really clever because they know that people can't eat a lot of this. So like, you
that's literally just sounds like a bet. Oh, you can't eat a lot of this. He. All right, we're gonna try.
People definitely can't. I mean, if someone can, they've got an iron stomach for it, because I don't know how you could, but yeah, it was that's the most memorable. But like, I had just some incredible ramen when I was there, and we went to an omakase for
ramen,
sushi.
not the
well, proper.
I suppose one of the things that I've always kind of was interested in is that they've obviously you got proper ramen shots and that, but it's also the their sandwiches, which is often quite amazing. And I knew you'd be up for this. I knew this is a conversation that I'd like me and Luke would be like food. We're just gonna, and also their what's it called? The machines that like you can like open sandwiches. You can get food from the machines as well, can't you? It's like what's my brain's going? It's the what are they called? Oh God, I can't think of what they're called now. They're little machines that you put money in and you kind of then pull out something.
Like a vending machine.
Vending machine, that's it. My brain was not working. Vending machine, yeah. But I've heard that the sandwiches are just.
Oh God, the sandwiches are amazing. Yeah, so they have they've got like 3 big prevalent convenience stores, like chains there, which are 7-Eleven, Lawson, and Family Mart. And
it's like Yakuza.
I've heard good things about Family Mart.
yeah, and all of them do like. I mean, first of all, they're incredible convenience stores because they're actually full of things that are really useful.
Yeah,
but they've got just rows and rows of like amazing food, like chilled desserts, like tons of sandwiches, rice balls. Everything basically, but yeah, the sandwiches in particular are absolutely
divine,
exquisite. Yeah, so they're they're super simple. They're like, it'll be like a pork cutlet sandwich, which is basically just a tonkatsu, like a breaded pork cutlet, sliced in half, white bread, no crust, and a tiny bit of sauce. But it's
it's milk bread,
delicious.
Isn't it? It's milk bread, yeah.
Yeah. And it's absolutely delicious. And they would do that with chicken and all sorts of other stuff. They would do some weird ones as well, like whipped cream and strawberry sandwiches.
That's the one I was going to ask you. Did you try the whipped cream and strawberry?
No, I can't go there for that. I don't like sweet and sour in that way. I don't like sweet
because I've heard so many good things about that, and it's like, do you know what? I want to try. I want to try that.
I stuck to my
you stuck to your traditional,
Japanese.
Because they can do like egg, they can do, it's.
The egg ones were phenomenal as well. Egg sandos, they were like, which is just an egg mayo sandwich, but I don't know what they do, but it's incredible.
It's a whole level beyond, isn't it? Just even like watching some of the Japanese YouTubers, you're like, oh my god, really? It's just like, and like, oh, it's amazing egg sandwich. You're like, really? Is it an amazing egg sandwich? And
Yeah,
then
and
Did you have a
everyone just goes
bento
like,
box?
it really is.
Masuku's saying, did you have a bento box?
I did have, yeah, I had a couple of bento boxes. So I had.
They're prevalent in Yakuza games, they are. Get your level up.
Yeah, and they're delicious. So yeah, I had one in my hotel because they had a lovely Japanese kind of garden restaurant where they were doing it, and then I had a couple of others, and I had one. I had an ekiben, which is it's a bento box specifically that you buy in the Shinkansen station, which is the bullet train. So
I've heard they're quite expensive, that, and there's been some are good, some are bad. I've heard, it all depends on which ones you get. I've heard. Again, I don't know. I'm just kind of, these are the people I've seen.
They weren't too expensive. I mean, like the ones that I looked at when I was getting the bullet train one day were like about the equivalent of £5.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Okay.
But for that, you were getting like, you would have a box, one compartment, you would have like a big portion of rice and pork, and then another compartment you would have some sort of vegetable, and the third compartment you would have like a sweet or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all different kind of configurations of like bento boxes and ekiben, and like it's all a bit. There's so many in one station. There can be like dozens upon dozens.
Yeah, there is collections.
You'd have like an egg, like half a boiled egg in one, for example. Japanese eggs, by the way, incredible. So yeah, the food there is sensational. And vending machines. I mean, this is like they're living in like 2072 with the vending machines, because
that's it. Vending machines. You get vending machine sandwiches, vending machine burgers. They've just literally worked it out perfectly.
There's vending machines everywhere. Everywhere you go, on street corners, in every single subway station.
So it is like Yakuza, because they're everywhere.
Oh yeah. That is real life.
Just want a quick shout out to a couple of people in chat that came in. BMG, I hope you're enjoying Sonic. I put it on for you. And welcome to Darren. Thanks for popping in, and everyone else, thanks for joining the chat for this fun conversation with Luke. Sorry, carry on, Luke.
No, yeah. So I was saying, vending machines everywhere, and they would. Most of them are like drinks vending machines, but with all kind of weird, funky drinks that would be really nice, really refreshing. But it was great because you get a Suica card, which is like the kind of equivalent to an Oyster card there. And you could just tap. You could use that on the machine. And you just go and get a drink on your way. It's really, really very helpful to be able to do that.
So I presume is it with the way it's Japanese a very cashless society?
I wouldn't say so, actually.
Do they like cash?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix.
Okay.
In many ways, actually, they're not quite as kind of cashless or advanced as even like the UK is. Okay. I mean, you go to the UK, for example, there's, pretty much everywhere you go now, there's a card machine, right? And you can just tap and go.
Yeah.
It's not like that in Japan. There are a lot of places like that. There are many, like at least in Tokyo, there are lots of places that take cash only. They don't take any.
But it's still seen as it's a traditional thing, isn't it? It's, coin.
Yeah,
it has a good place.
Yeah. And even even if they did have a card machine, sometimes it wouldn't be one that you could contactless on. You would have to go back to the good old days where you put your card in and put your number in, which is increasingly being phased out in other places.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I get this all the time in the business, and it's quite funny. I've seen it in shops. When you tap it, and after so many times, you amount of people have to get their phone out and struggle to actually know what their PIN number is. It's quite entertaining to see. It is.
Yeah. So it's like super advanced in a lot of ways, but in other ways it's a bit behind, which is kind of gives it a really interesting.
Well, it's that traditional. It's a blend of traditional and technology, isn't it? They've kept certain things traditional, and that's where they're going to go with. And then they've got obviously the high tech where they feel they wish to go into the high tech in those regards. But I suppose in terms of you, then it's like you was out there for about a week. Was it a week you went into?
Yeah, about 8 days. Yeah.
So was that? Did you just hang around Tokyo in itself, or did you explore further outside?
The vast majority of it was just Tokyo because there is so much to do in Tokyo. Like, it's an incredibly dense place, and the main thing that we wanted to do was go to Tokyo. Yeah, and we've always said that we want to go back and do a broader exploration of Japan.
Yeah.
But this one was just like, I really want to go to Tokyo and experience that. So we
You
did
went
that.
experience.
But the only other place we went for a day was Osaka, but it was specifically to go to Universal Studios out there, to go to Super Nintendo Land.
Oh, I did not know you had a Universal Studios in Japan. That's okay.
Yeah. So that's in Osaka. So we had to get the bullet train to do that.
Oh,
Yeah, which was nice. Got to see Mount Fuji on the way, which is incredible. And then did like a full day in Universal, going on rides, and then going on into Super Nintendo Land, which is actually quite amazing, especially to see it in person. It's, they've basically rebuilt, the world of Mario.
Did you take any photos? Have I missed these photos?
There's a whole thread on
I need to go back
X.
on X. I must have missed some of them.
Yeah,
because I haven't seen them one. Definitely not.
Yeah, go and have a look. I can't remember which day that was, but it might have been day 5 or something. But
I'll go and have a look again. I will.
But yeah, so we did that, and we had a little look around Osaka in the time we had, but it was very limited. So it was mostly just Tokyo. But I mean, you could do 2 weeks in Tokyo and not see all of it. So, are
you going back?
Yes, I don't know when, but we are. I would say that we're trying. We want to accelerate how quickly we go back. I think there was a plan. There was a plan to do X, Y, and Z first, and now it's maybe a plan to not do any of that and go back to Japan first.
Japan,
So,
and then we might sort that out later on.
It's an incredible. I mean, I know for a lot of people, and for me the same. It's like a bucket list.
It is,
trip. If you could go anywhere in the world, a lot of people, particularly in gaming communities, etc., would say. Like Japan.
I think so. Yeah, Japan is going to be one of those.
And I was, if you can do it, then you will not be let down. I think there's sometimes a worry that you like overhype it, and I think we were getting really hyped up and thinking, oh, okay, maybe it won't live up to that, but actually, it completely does. Like it was. I mean, it's an incredible place. The Japanese people are incredibly friendly and polite and respectful and nice. And it's got like every piece of gaming memorabilia and merchandise you could ever possibly want. So stock up on.
I suppose really all you've got to try and do now is kind of try and convince the missus to move out there.
Yeah.
Sweetheart, look. We both know where this is going to end up. We might as well just move out there.
Well, we said, I would quite happily live in Tokyo. I would have no issues living somewhere like that. Not going to happen. But
you never say never, and you never know what could happen.
It's an incredible place. And we did see. I didn't see any actual Yakuza when I was out there, sadly. But I'm sure they're about.
Well, that's the thing. Is it? It's not as if they kind of like, oh, hi.
Yeah, we did go through.
Me and my kinds of mates here. We're just here for the tourists. Hello, can you take pictures with us? It's. I think they're kind of. The Japanese YouTubers I say there's like. Yeah, you won't see them. They'll see you, but you won't see them 9 times out of 10.
Oh, I was actually going to ask you, did you see any Yakuzas? But I suppose they don't have a lot of the games have a look or style of a person. They're probably more crowded in than you think. Do you know what I mean? You probably wouldn't notice them.
the one really cool, like one of the coolest things was, and you'll see this Stubz in the picture, Fred. But we a couple of times we went through Kabukicho, which is in Shinjuku, and that is the place in the Kamurocho in the Yakuza.
Oh
games.
yes, yes.
So that is Kamurocho is modelled on Kabukicho. So
all the little streets.
Really, all the stuff, the famous sign, like it's all in the Yakuza games, and we went through that a couple of times in real life, and that was really, really like, even as someone who isn't really a big Yakuza, like a Dragon player, that was super.
That's a bit
cool.
surreal because you're like, this street looks familiar. Where did I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Where does this come?
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's super busy, as you can imagine, because it's a big drinking, gambling destination there as well.
Well, the Yakuza were definitely there somewhere. Then they would have been.
Yeah, they're definitely in there. We also went through the Golden Guy, which is a really weird but really fun place, which is like just off from Kabukicho, and it's like it's a set of about 4 or 5 extremely narrow, dingy streets. Like they're not very long at all. You could probably cross like one street in like a minute. But they're like super small, and then they're just lined with tiny, tiny bars. Yep. Like these bars are so small that like they have like.
The best I can describe is like a bathroom size. They're literally is almost like a little.
They're nothing. They've got like maybe 4 seats in this one bar, and a counter, and then behind the counter there's a bartender, and you go there and like you can, the idea is you're supposed to go there for heavy drinking, to sit there for an evening and because they don't like people they don't like people coming in buying a single drink and going, because it's really valuable real estate for them. So yeah, that was like really cool, really interesting. Again, I've got photos on that on my thread. But it was fascinating being there. But it's like a really dingy, like that's proper like like a Dragon territory, like really dingy back alleys. But that was.
Well, ironically,
cool.
if you are there, I've heard people there. It's like they're really friendly. So if you are there to get pissed, they are really quite friendly still. That's the irony. It's like, everyone's like,
if you're there
your money is just as good as anyone else's.
Yeah, the times that people in Golden Guy get really angry at Westerners is when they come in to sit at a bar to have a drink and then they leave, because that's the point, is that you sit there and you spend like 10,000, 15,000 yen in a night, getting absolutely slaughtered. And then
just for those who don't know what that cost is, what is that cost? That is generally about
I mean, it's still not that much relative to
80, 90?
Maybe what, like 80, 90 quid, something like
that.
That's
really not a lot, is it? That's
well, not compared to London prices. No, that's about 2 drinks worth. But in Japan, that's probably as you said, it's a good night's worth of sake or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I mean, like that's the only time they would be annoyed at Westerners, I think, there. And some do have sign that says just no foreigners, basically, because they like that place has become a big tourist hotspot because people know about it a lot more, and then people come and do that, and they just don't like that. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of signs there in Golden Guy that say tourists welcome and stuff. So you just have to be respectful about it. If you're going there, go there to actually get drunk. Don't go there to be a tourist and have a drink and go on.
Which to some of us, that will not be a problem. So was there much sake drunk, or was you frequented away from that and stuck with the more fruit juices?
I didn't have too much, actually. We had some, but not like loads. I think mainly because like we just
walking around, moving around, I
mean? Like this, that's something you want to do, and you want to stop and take time to, have a drink a bit. So like at restaurants and such, we'd have some. But in other places, it was just water. I just need lots of water. And to be fair, beer. They've got excellent beer out there, really, really good.
What's it? It's
lager, especially. Yeah, they've got that. They've got that. But they have like a few others like Kirin, which are really good, and then like kind of local brewery style ones as well. So a lot of really good stuff. Really, really good
So it
stuff.
sounds like you had an absolutely, again, you had like a fantastic sort of a trip out there, sort of thing. And now you play next one.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was the best holiday I think we've ever been on. We were.
Do you think you're going to tie it in with maybe like an event or a gaming event or something like that? Try like Tokyo, you know?
Maybe. I mean, we were really unlucky because the day we left was the first day of the public access to the Tokyo Game Show.
That's what I was thinking. It's like just
so maybe next time if we were going, you know, around the same time, I'd try and make sure that we overlapped with that, so I could go
with a couple of days, so you can just kind of exactly.
But otherwise, I just want to go and explore more of Tokyo and go to Kyoto and
obviously maybe some of the outskirts areas of Japan as well. See some of the other islands. See some of the.
I'd love to go to Fuji and all that. So yeah, we're looking, and who knows, maybe we'll end up there back, you know, next year. Maybe.
Yeah, for someone who kind of I would recommend Tokyo Lens as he's a good YouTuber who lives out there, and he does go out to different variations and parts of Tokyo. He really does help you explore not just Tokyo but outside of Tokyo as well, in some of the areas that are like kind of forgotten. And you know, also Chris Broad, he's pretty good as well for in terms of finding stuff about Tokyo and Japan in general, sort of thing. Both those are very good recommendations, I think, for, you know, if you want to explore, but maybe like further afield. But yeah, I've just by watching those, I'm like, envious of what, you know, of anyone who goes to Japan. It's like, one day.
Yeah.
I also know the price of it, and I'm like, one day.
Just save your yen up, because you're gonna get out there and then you're gonna, you know, go in a mall and then randomly see a Capcom store or something, and then you're gonna go, oh shit! Like,
did you go for like, was it is it called Shinku? The little the little toys you can get from the vending machines. What called Shinku? Is it Shinku? No, it's not Shinku.
Oh, like from like gashapon machines and that sort of thing.
Yeah, little gachas. Is it little gachas?
Yeah, little gashas. Yeah, in the pods, in the small plastic.
That's
pods,
it. Yeah. Did you buy any of those?
Yeah, gashapon. yeah, tons of them. Yeah. Like they've got floors of that stuff in everywhere, especially Akihabara. They've got Bandai Namco have, like, I think the biggest collection of those. They've got like literally about a building that's got like 5 floors of gashapon. So yeah,
I've heard, and the irony is, I heard they're really good quality.
Yeah,
as well,
which is that's bad. They're not like,
like
you think. It's not. Yeah, it's
McDonald's
not
little toy that breaks within 2 seconds. You know, it's.
Yeah. They're really they're actually like good quality. I think it's about 400 yen. Like, for most of them.
It's something so cheap, isn't it? And it's like
£2.50 or whatever for one of these.
They're actually kind of worth it.
Quite good. Yeah. So yeah, got plenty of those. I mean, as I say, you can go on my profile and see.
I saw it and I was like, oh my god, there's a frig load there. And I was like, in my head, I was about to say, which ones did you bring back for us? You know, it's like, you could have done easily with them out. Mine, and that's going to go against my wall above the bed.
Yeah. So, yeah, just ridiculous.
I must admit, I do envy you there. I must admit, going out there and seeing Japan as it is, it's fantastic. And luckily, you didn't have any points where there was no. I want to say earthquakes. It is earthquakes, isn't it? They've got some earthquakes and tidals.
They're quite prevalent in Japan. Yeah, none while I was
because I don't know how I'd handle an earthquake. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was funny because they actually said they had a notice in our hotel, like, you know, if there's an earthquake, this is what you have to do, blah blah blah. But they were like, please don't worry, because this hotel was here when, like, Japan had, you know, the the biggest earthquake Tokyo's ever seen, and it was absolutely fine. It was literally words to that effect. So they were just like, don't worry about it. So
that's fair.
I
enough,
have,
that is.
yeah. The design of the buildings out there, they have it to a fine art, which makes sense.
Yeah, especially
For centuries, they've been,
for
they've
this,
worked
yeah.
out. Well, one of the things I just generally do is that I look at the designs, and it's actually the buildings are allowed to move. That's
Yes,
the
they have
crazy
wiggle
thing
room,
about it.
yeah.
Oh, it's not wiggle. It's
Well,
quite. They
wiggle room
move
for
quite.
a building.
Yeah.
Yeah, they move pretty significantly. Yeah.
And,
So,
and you're like, really? And it's like, oh yeah, they've been designed to kind of the ground moves and the building just stands still.
yes.
And you're like,
Yeah.
but the movement could be like, almost around 500 millimeters in terms of movement.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
any other building,
It'd be
that
dead.
would do horrendous damage. But
Yeah.
for them, it's like, nope. And it's this thing. So even some of their eldest monuments have stayed for centuries with all of these, issues and failed and not failed at all. They just have such a precision
Yeah.
on how they've worked out these building designs. It's crazy. I'm just, envious, mate, envious of you. But I think we're going to try and move on because otherwise it could be the entire show of just us talking to you.
Honestly, though, Luke,
And I know I would.
it truly does sound like you had a really, really great time. One of the best trips you ever had, I would say.
And, 100%. I've been to some really good places this year. I went to New York earlier in the year. I went to Rome as well, so I'm very lucky. But that was the best trip. It was incredible.
I can tell by the way you've been talking about it. It's
yeah,
you
I'm
always
sad I'm not still there. Really, so I think that's the problem.
You're going to have to go for a month next time.
Yeah, I probably will. Oh, Darcy, I've been to Hull as well, several times. It's great, isn't it?
See, yeah, it is Japan, Hull. It's equal. It's equal.
It's basically
perfection.
the same.
I've never
same.
been to Hull.
You don't go to Hull.
I've been to.
You're not missing anything.
But no,
did we all miss the Halo chat? Scott says no. We haven't hit the Halo chat yet.
I was going to hit on. Has anyone played the Metaphor refantazio demo yet?
Yes.
And
yes.
if I said the name right, I've probably butchered it.
You got it about right, but you have put the screen not in the correct position.
Yeah, I've just moved it. This is just story trailer. It's not from the demo. It's not.
Well,
have you played it, Luke? Or
yeah, I was playing it last night actually.
See,
I was playing it on the plane back. But
I was playing it, but I thought this was a Japanese game. Is it?
Yes.
So I purposely put it in Japanese audio and English subtitles, but none of them look Japanese. They're like
subtitles.
No, they're like elders and elves and all that. They're not Japanese. Are they? Am I wrong?
This is not Japanese. Yeah.
So I could
fantasy game.
So I could have just had it in English, basically. Is what you're saying?
Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is the idea is like, okay, say if like you watched Akira, you could watch Akira in Japanese or you could watch Akira in English. The story is it's up to you how you wish to do it. I think the purists out there will say, obviously you'd like to hear it from the Japanese audio because they give you the best, I would say, best sound quality and depth of a character versus say the dub version.
Well, I have been playing it in the Japanese audio, and you'd all be pleased to know I haven't completed the demo yet. But I only started playing it. I only started playing last night. It's about half an hour, isn't it?
The demo?
No, it's
like
more than that.
I've played nearly 2 hours. and I haven't finished the demo yet.
Oh, okay. I literally only started it last night. And welcome to Scott. And the Halo will be after this. Because Scott wanted to join, but he really couldn't join. I said you can if you want, but he says I can't, mate. I just can't make it.
Yeah, it's about 5-6 hours demo.
Yeah. It's more like a prologue, I would say.
That's right.
Than a demo. I think demo. It's called a demo, but I think it undersells exactly how big this thing is because it's not.
And also,
It does say it's the
Whatever your-
prologue, doesn't it, on the demo?
Yeah,
It does.
yeah, it does. So whatever your save crosses over onto this as well.
Yeah.
It's got some cool music so far, though. I really like it. I do.
Yeah.
It's got
It's,
good music.
It's very, very good from the 2 hours I played. And clearly because the reviews came out today and it's very
Hit home on there as well, isn't it? Yeah.
I'll be honest,
so
though,
it's-
they are happy with the game because, am I wrong? Games don't normally release demos that last that long, do they? In time-wise, in
no,
length.
nothing like this. Yeah.
They must be really
Yeah.
happy and satisfied when the review scores are coming out and they're in the 90s, aren't they?
Yeah, it's one of the highest
Yeah,
games of the year.
yeah.
It's I'll definitely be picking it up when I think it's next week or maybe even this week. Actually, I can't
October
remember.
11th, I believe. It's on my thumb now
That's this week. That's this week, isn't it?
because I nicked the P&G thing and it said October 11th on it.
Yeah, so Friday. So yeah, I'll. Oh God. I mean, I will pick this up, but I don't know when I'll get to
What were
it.
we on about? PC, Xbox, PlayStation? Where are you picking it up?
No, I'll get it on PC because it does run relatively decently on the Steam Deck as well. So
okay, fair enough.
it's kind of a good place to play it. But I played it on the Steam Deck on the fly. I mean, to give an indicator, like my Steam Deck battery died on the flight from just playing this. So like, it was,
I bet you were wounded, weren't you? No.
Yeah, I had the Switch in the back pocket as well, so
okay.
I'll whip that out.
You're telling me you didn't have a like an external power bank? Just
that's you can't just carry the PC on the plane. I think you mean the PC is the way. Anyway, where's Indie Babe when you need him? When we're picking up the PC.
No, I'm sure he's sensing it somewhere.
Power
sensing
bank.
it somehow.
So yeah, you could easily give yourself a 20 milliamp power bank.
Yeah, I don't like using it when it's plugged into a power bank though. I'm a bit unlike I
understand why in case it fails and it causes.
Yeah, and also I don't like using it battery being used when it's in power. Like that can really mess up over time. That can mess up your battery.
Well, you could always say you could just once it gets like a bit lower, okay, park it aside, charge it up.
Yeah,
and then...
you could have done that. Yeah, but I didn't want to. I was like, it's fine. I'll just get through it. I've got plenty of stuff to do with the plane. So I did that, and then last night I played about an hour on my PC, and it's not like, I mean, it's like a pretty, but I think people know what I mean by this. Like in terms of fidelity, it's quite an ugly game, but in terms of art direction, it's an incredible looking game. Like it's stunning. They've really nailed that, and that's kind of like Atlas games all over, right? Like technically they're pretty shit still, but in terms of art direction, Persona games are some of the most stylish and impressive, kind of art vision.
They know how to sell it. That's the thing.
Yeah, and
especially with the animation as well. They just
it's fantastic. Yeah.
They've got that perfect blend, and they just know what's going to be on.
And the combat system's really good in this. It's it's turn-based, but it's very snappy, which I really like. It's very responsive, very quick. I'm looking forward to diving into the full version, but it won't be this week because I've still got other stuff, and then Silent Hill 2 comes out tomorrow as well. So
too many things.
I've still not finished like Space Marine and stuff. I need to get through that first.
Yeah, you'll be surprised to know that I haven't yet either.
Oh fucking hell!
No, he's just gone past that tutorial page.
I was trying to think where I am now. I've jumped back into Persona 5 because I bought it on sale. And I'm really liking that.
Metaphor is probably one of the games I'm going to try and see if I can get physical.
It's a shame we couldn't get. It's a shame VJ weren't free because I know he's looking forward to this.
Yeah, we both are. Yeah, that's one of the things that me and VJ are like. Yep, this. If it's for the creators' Persona, it's going to be. We knew it's going to be pretty good. To be honest with you, we had. They've got a good history of creating games that just are thoroughly enjoyable to kind of understand and develop and go through sort of thing. So I'll be going for physical on this one. I think I'm going to try and get myself a nice big fat copy somewhere.
Well, I don't know. This game's massive. I mean, you don't because you have that many reviews. Are you actually going to be able to play it?
This is one of those games where one thing I liked, and this is why I played the prologue. I say
You
demo,
might be
it's
getting a
prologue,
review code. Who knows?
I'm not that lucky, trust me. But for me, it was one of those games that it looks like you can easily jump back into. You can get to a point, pause a game, get out, and go back into it any other time. I think that's one of the things I like about some of these games is that I can just jump back into it and take my time with it. When I was playing with the actions and the battles, some of the dungeons, I was making my way through them, and it's like, do you know what? I'd get out. I'm doing a review of the game, get out, and then I'd go back and dive into it. Like 2 days later, I'd be like, do you know what? I haven't missed anything. I haven't lost anything. I still know the controls. I still know everything. Nothing's forgotten. So for me, it's one of those games that it works around my lifestyle in that regards. So some games don't allow that, do that. They can't. Some of the big RPGs, if you've got out of it a week, you've forgotten all the mechanics. You've forgotten all the intricacies. You've forgotten all that. All the little nuances you kind of have to learn. Here, it just seems, at least from the prologue I was playing, seems to be a much more intuitive, it's one of those things you can pick up again by the looks of it. And I could be wrong. Obviously, it could be further down the line. Things get much more complicated, and I don't know. You might get worse. But from what I'm seeing so far, it seems quite. You can go in and catch up on where the story is, and still enjoy yourself, sort of thing. Luke, would you say that's something that you are finding so far with like the demo, or is it?
Yeah, I think it's fairly easy to jump back into it. Like it's not like Elden Ring, right? It'd be very difficult to jump out of that and then jump and have a break and jump back into it.
Yes, exactly.
This game, is it very taxing? Because you know about tech though, and for some reason in certain parts of the demo, my Series X's fan goes really loud playing this game at certain points. I don't know. Why is it doing that?
It's not taxing in terms of because it's pushing stuff. It's, to be honest, it's just because it's not really that well optimized.
Oh, is that why it's making the fan noise? It's really annoying.
Yeah, it's the same on PC because even on PC, like it's you can get random frame drops on a 4090, which isn't really.
You shouldn't really be getting it.
You shouldn't really be getting that. Yeah, so that can happen, and other people have reported the same thing. So it's an Atlas game basically. So it's kind of one of the foibles.
Exactly. Yeah.
That they have,
I've never had this playing Persona 5 so far though.
It gets better. Well, they patch it to a point where
I suppose you're right. Yeah, I get what you mean.
But yeah, so it's not taxing in terms of it's really pushing stuff. It's just not particularly well optimized. But it's a demo, right? So
that's true.
See what the final release.
They do make a point of saying that at the start, don't they? Am I wrong? Can you actually record footage of the demo? Or is that leak? Were they saying you can't at the start?
No, I think you can. I think they don't want people to spoil stuff.
I think that's
be mindful of.
That's what I got the gist of, but I didn't record any. I thought I'm not going to bother.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I'm definitely going to pick this up. And at some point I will try and play through it. I think it's this is a really long game. I think it's at least 60, 70 plus hours minimum. So it's a big time commitment, which is annoying because I don't have that amount of time, but because it's so high quality, I really do want to play this. Like as in play more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the question I suppose is now: do you think you'll complete the demo, then buy it, and then continue from the demo, or do you think you'll start again?
I'll play it from wherever the demo ends. I think. Because I really appreciate when games do that. Actually, particularly when they have long demos, because it can be a real pain then to go through, that bit again, which can be pretty tedious if you've gone through it once. So I'll pick it up from wherever.
Well, one of the reasons I ask is that I don't know how far you've only been played by now, haven't you? It's about an hour.
I played about 2 and a bit hours.
Did you get to the point where you see a dragon?
Yes. I've gone past
The
that.
question the question is, did I Stubbs, I don't want to comment up if you've done this or not, but I kind of avoided the dragon, but even in the trailer, you can see that you can attack the dragon.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah,
I'm just wondering whether I can go.
Nice chest behind.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I was like, can I go back there and go for that chest when I've got more power, or is that it? That's my life. Was that my one chance? I don't know, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm not played enough to go back just for the dragon. I must say, like, I would like to know what that is. Like, what loot you can get from
I'm
that,
hoping that maybe later on you can kind of just explore that and go back to that dungeon and try and get
like
that.
come back like higher level and beast.
Because it's like I looked at my stats, I was like, "There's no bloody way am I gonna?" I mean, I'm struggling against something else.
I don't think
no
I've seen this dragon. What dragon are we talking about?
You might still be too early.
Gone too early.
Yeah.
Just which way as you get to story, you'll find a track. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's.
I'll play more and I'll let people know next week. But I reckon we should move on to the Halo because Scott's in chat. So, wrong video. Wait a minute. There we go. So it's a new dawn. They've changed the Halo Studios, which was formerly known as 343 Industries. It's now called Halo Studios, and they're going to be using Unreal 5 engine from now on to make Halo games. So I think it's a really smart idea. I mean, I am in a DM where we mess about, and I was saying, what a stupid idea and all this, and I was kidding. It's a very smart move because most gaming engineers, etc., they all know how to use Unreal 5. And as you know, that studio is infamous for having contractors. And most of them know how to use the Unreal Engine 5. So I think it's good overall. But I'm going to ask the Halo Master, Luke. He knows far more than me. I'm talking crap, probably.
I am a sage. I'm not as much of a sage as Scott, I don't think, but we're both really big fans. I find it very interesting, actually. I mean, I didn't expect it to come out of kind of nowhere. You know, the whole announcement yesterday was the Halo World Championships. That they announced it. I think just before that they announced this at. And it's a pretty, a pretty significant announcement because it's, as you say, it's complete rebranding of 343. And obviously moving engine is a really interesting choice. It makes total sense, as you said, to put them onto such a ubiquitous gaming engine. It means that their development process will be a lot smoother, and they were talking about this in the vid doc that they released, that Slipspace was a good engine, but it was very difficult to manage, and they had like teams just managing the engine, kind of managing their tech, and they were finding that difficult to also then develop a game, whereas now the focus is just on game development rather than engine development. Much easier for them to hire people who can get up to speeds really quickly, if that's a contractor or not. And obviously, I mean, Unreal Engine has its own advantages as well in terms of, Lumen and Nanite and the kind of visual fidelity it can push. And they talked about, that when the first Halo came out, it was, like a visual showcase, it's kind of industry leading in many ways. And they wanted to kind of go back to that. And so, I remember.
Gears of War 1 was, but
Gears was as well when that released. But when Combat Evolved launched, I remember distinctly booting that up.
Okay.
And stepping off into the Halo ring after you crash, and just being absolutely kind of slack-jawed at everything that was going on screen. Like, it looks silly now, but at the time, it was an incredible looking game.
I think for me, it was more about the co-op play. The co-op play was just the graphical fidelity is like it was all right, but the co-op play, they just nailed something that I'd never felt before, which was jumping into a warthog with your friend. They nailed that experience. It was just I never played the first one on my own because it was that good. I played it with someone else all the time. And I'd literally go to his house because he had it. He had an Xbox, I didn't at the time. And we'd go in and we'd sit there and together we'd play, as much levels as we could possibly do. And then he'd wait for me for the next week, that weekend, and I'd then go again and we'd do it again. And I was just like, it was just me. It was just the experience. They nailed the co-op experience for me. It was just like, I'd never felt a game probably hit such a fun and exciting experience with your friend, because she is literally like, you try and do different tactics against the enemy, or you try and do silly things together, and it just worked. It was just something that, every silly thing you could imagine, you could do it. And it made that experience so much more than just a. And also, I think the story kind of resonated as well. I think the story was something that was a little bit different before. So for me, it was more story. At least for me, it was, and my friend, it was more story and co-op. Was the big. Whew, it was the game actually that made me choose Xbox. To be fair, because I was PlayStation at the time, and that was the one game I was like, do you know what? I need an Xbox for this game. And so that's how it kind of dragged me over. System sellers did still exist back then. So it'll be interesting to see, because this is, as you said, this is a fidelity thing. It'll be UEA 5 is I still think they can push certain boundaries, isn't it? They'll still be able to kind of push things within UEA 5 that most people may not have tried yet. But it is it's stable, isn't it? From what I'm hearing, UE 5 is pretty much.
Coalition's experts will be helping. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons why they chose to go this route as well. Not just the expertise, but also the fact that they've got so much expertise across Xbox Game Studios. With Coalition,
they can tap into those resources, can't they?
I think that they actually made a special team from Coalition. That there's a team of people specially just to help other studios with UE5.
Yeah, so they got them, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs building on UE5. I think Compulsion are building on UE5.
Tim Sweeney's hands are rubbing together. More money.
So it makes sense. I think the thing for Halo players is that they have to make sure that they perfectly replicate the feel of Halo in those, in UE5. Like
this is the thing that worries me slightly. So yeah,
I'm sure. I mean, I think it's probably easier than people think. Like, as in, if you're a game developer, I don't mean me and you. But I, I don't think they'll have taken this decision. I don't think they'd have gone near another engine if they weren't very confident that they could completely replicate the feel of a Halo game in that engine.
Well, visually you can replicate it, but I think the visual fidelity and then the feeling are almost two different sides of a coin, because you can like it's just like a remaster. You can remaster a game and make it still feel completely different to its original ethos. So I am slightly worried about the feel of the game. Visually, even just from this short bit, I can see it's like graphically, it looks really good. But it's one of those things, will it still feel the same when you're going through it? And that's going to be, that I think is you're going to have to really get people who breathe Halos through and through, if you know what I'm saying. It'll be in their essence. That's where it is, because I think any tweak to the Halo formula, any tweak to the Halo franchise, or any tweak to the lore or anything like that, I think is just going to come back to bite them. I don't. Like I say, I don't think they would have made the change if they didn't think that they could replicate the way that the game plays. And what people come to expect about actually playing a Halo game, like the feel of the moment to moment.
They've renamed the studio Halo Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So the Coalition's called Coalition Studios. So what are you going to get after X amount of years? Oh, I feel that Halo Studios should make a new game, make a new franchise. They shouldn't be tied down like everyone does to Gears of War.
Well,
They're tied down. The name's tied them down.
they are
It's more of
tied
it's
down
more
to
it's
make
more
other stuff.
it's more of a joke. But do you get what I mean? In years to come, we're going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, they've doubled down on them being the Halo studio,
But-
very directly. Even more so than the Coalition,
They
really,
have.
which is more of an abstract Gears reference than
Yes, it's the coalition
direct
government.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's a big universe,
they
though,
clearly
isn't
doubled
it?
down on that.
It's a big universe.
Yeah,
Halo is,
yeah.
so's Gears, but
Yeah.
I think it's a good future. I do. I don't know much. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not a massive Halo fan, but this has me excited.
Yeah, it's promising. I mean, you're going to get incredible visual fidelity from Halo, which is something that I think has been lacking for a little while, at least since Halo 4. If they can replicate the feel, that's great. I think people just want the thing is, this is exciting and stuff, but the proof will be in the pudding. Like, we need to see they need to release a game under this, and then people can judge whether this was a really good decision.
Well, I mean,
or not.
the last one for me, it was all right, but again, for me, it just didn't feel Halo. It just felt like a slog in some cases. It's like, and I was a Halo fan for me, and I was like, oh god, it was a bit of a shame really, because I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to a semi-open world Halo experience, and in the end, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of game,
Something felt off, if it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. It was like there was barren some areas, and there was like enemies. It just felt like I don't know. It didn't feel as live as I expected it to, sort of thing. And that's just me. That makes it,
Yeah, I think in terms of moment to moment, it's probably the best Halo's ever felt in terms of just being chief and shooting enemies. Like, that felt great. The combat.
But then it's that transition. Yeah, you didn't have to move to that spot for that, and it just that's when it kind of broke the.
Yeah, I think the single player was decent, but it was also a big kind of a big cutback of really what I think people envisaged that that game was supposed to be, and by all accounts, actually, it was cut back significantly in development because of all sorts of problems. So I think people, when they originally showed the Slip Space Engine reveal kind of teaser, it had all these hints of swampy areas or big forest areas, and lots of
that's what I'm saying.
wildlife and kind of
enemies left from center.
going on, all the time, and that's not what it was. Like, clearly things went wrong in the development of that game and the engine that meant that they couldn't deliver on that. And there are bits of it which are good, but I mean, even if you look at the environments in that, it's basically the Pacific Northwest, and then a Forerunner structure. It's like
exactly.
It's like that's all it is throughout the entire game. So you can see that that was heavily impacted.
This is almost like, for me, it's like this is the first beta test before the game is going to kind of move forward. And I'm like, oh,
wasn't
hang
as
on.
expansive as I think they intended. I think that's very clear. So, and I don't know what they're going to go do in future games, whether they want to stick to that kind of open world-ish formula.
I mean, it could work. It could work. There are games out there that do really, really good, expensive open world games that feel exciting to explore and fight and attack. And I just think they need, if they're going to go down that path, they need it to feel much more alive. And it didn't feel. It felt like you're traveling to somewhere for the action to happen. There was no action, big. I mean, you imagine if you had huge battles between different factions all happening all at once, and you're just making your way across these areas. It probably feel absolutely amazing. Where this was like, I'll drive over to here. Oh, it's a battle. Then I'm going to drive over to this place. Oh, that's another battle. It broke the immersion. I think the traveling did, and because there's nothing in between.
Yeah.
It kind of, for me at least, it got a little boring. And that's the thing. By the time getting to the point where I was really excited and get back in the action again, it's like, oh.
Yeah, and I don't know what vision they have for mainline Halos. They might do something like the Coalition are doing, which is, obviously they went to the kind of like hub open-ish experience for Gears 5. But by the looks of E-Day, they're going back to a traditional kind of Gears structure.
Yes,
obviously
let's
super high
fucking
fidelity and
go.
stuff like that.
Don't worry, I'll
But
clear.
like they might go back to that, and like I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest. Like I think there's room
A
for
curated
to-
experience is easier to make that intensity all the way through.
Yeah.
With an open world experience, keeping that intensity. To be fair, I could probably only name about 3 games off the top of my head that I know have kept that intensity. And even they're struggling sometimes. I would say for me, it was Fallout 3. Pretty much nailed it for me. Probably, again, it was probably, I'm trying to think of another one that's really done it. It's done it where you can kind of, you're walking through and something happens and it's feels fresh. I don't know. I think Fallout 3 pretty much. 4 was a good step up, but 3. I think people have different variants. Some people like Las Vegas. Some people like 3 for me was my pinnacle open world experience. I'm trying to think. What's the other one? Dragonborn. Oh God. Skyrim. Skyrim. Yeah, that was again ironically made by the same people. That was another good open world that always felt like you've just found something. You've just gone into some area there, and all of a sudden, it's brand new and it's fresh. So I think it can happen. I just think it all depends on what you're good at, and if they're good at a much more curated experience, stick with it. Don't please do keep trying something fresh and trying something different, but also know where your strengths are, and if your strengths are a curated experience, nothing wrong with that. Fall back to it.
Yeah.
We'll still be happy to play it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting decision, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it. In terms of product. Certainly, the little kind of, I mean, they're not even tech demos as such; they're more ideation. Arenas that they've built for this, for what's on screen, but it
Exactly.
looks very, very impressive.
What I will say
so
is,
surprising.
did you see the character movement of Master Chief? It felt a bit stop motion.
Yeah, but I think
but is that?
I think it's just they've. I don't even think they've got to the point of building like proper animation rigs. Like,
right, okay.
For the
Because
game,
I was like, do you know what it was? He reminded me of. Do you remember them doing the montage on, is it Halo 3? And then watch it, and he puts like a little camera and it follows this like model montage.
Can't remember, but
oh God, is it Halo? Yeah, is it Halo 3 where they've got like Master Chiefs battling the Covenant, and it's just like a little miniatures. They created a little miniature battle, and the trailer was. It reminded me of that. It still looked amazing and still looked great, even though it's like you can see it's like a little miniature. Yeah. And right near the end, the miniature just slightly moves, and you just say, "Huh?" That was like it was that's the sort of thing this is. It's like, here's a teaser of what we're doing, and the same thing here. I think it's like this is a teaser of what potentially is coming out. And of course, you won't know.
Yeah.
What this is going to be until it starts running.
Yeah, until we see, like it, whatever the next game is running. I don't think we'll.
2026 probably, isn't it? You're thinking?
Yeah, it's a while. It's a
go
good while
2027.
Away. Yeah, I mean, what is it now? 24. Yeah.
Fuck it, let's just say next gen.
It may well be next gen by the time it hits. Again, I'm fine.
To be fair, I think Gears of War E-Days 26, 27. So who knows?
I think that's probably 26. But I think there were some murmurings they might be looking to get that out next year. Funnily enough,
to be honest with you,
I would hope that's true, Luke. I like what you're saying.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I don't
Dunno.
think it is. I think it's 26, but I don't. I
Mm.
mean, I'd certainly love it if it came out next year. But
I
but
don't,
yeah,
Josh.
this is a while off.
Would we be doing next gen? Josh, it's like next gen to me is like you're looking at the graphical fidelity now. It's a harder sell for next gen games now to provide
Yeah,
for
but we
graphical
always say that.
fidelity. Well, the reason I'm looking at the PS4, the PS5 Pro, and I'm just looking at the graphical fidelity of that selling. And I was
Fucking
like,
bargain. I think I've heard Luke's buying one for each room in his house and one for the toilets.
he's probably
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a steal.
six.
It's a steal.
But
At least
you know what? This is the thing. I'm getting to the point now where I think that the changes are going to be so small. I think now it's going to be more a case of, does it run quicker? Does it load quicker?
I'm no
stable
tech buff,
pace?
but I was speaking to Wandering Dutch, and he told me it's quite a step up of the PS5 Pro compared to the PS5. Is that correct, Luke? He said it's not just a tiny bit.
No, it's definitely significantly more powerful. I mean, it's getting a lot of the boost also from PSSR,
Yeah.
which is like DLSS. Not quite.
That's
as good, but
software.
it's
That's
similar.
not hardware, isn't it?
Well, it's both. It's software with hardware acceleration. So you can really advance that through more dedicated hardware. So that's both. Same with the RT, which it has advanced RT, which is basically more hardware ray trace function as well. But like the thing is, people have been saying this forever, and people were saying this a few years ago and saying, well, when look at games now, like they look amazing, they run really well, blah 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 blah, and then Cyberpunk just does path tracing one day in game, and people are like, oh Jesus, like this is like way quicker than anyone anticipated, and like the consoles aren't there, they're not doing path tracing anytime soon, but next gen maybe they were to do some of that, and like there's still lots of things that can be pushed. I think there is one of the big boons is to try and get just beds, like at the minute is to just try and get stuff running better at higher resolutions, but because visuals are being pushed so much, it means that even these consoles, which are pretty powerful, are struggling to push those visuals at good frame rates and at good base resolutions, which is kind of what the PS5 Pro is for, really. I think, I mean, what, Halo 27 maybe? There were rumors that Microsoft wanted to kick off next gen in 26, so I think for Xbox it probably would be a next gen game.
26, I can see.
I bloody hope not. My son's getting a Series X this year. I bloody hope not.
No. It might be back compatible. It's probably be
So
back
fair, mate. He plays Fortnite.
do,
They won't
yeah.
make no difference, really. He plays Fortnite.
So he's
you know what I mean?
He's going to play it. Yeah. So
But to be fair, you're right. Xbox does have a good backward compatibility sort of aspect to it. And to be honest with you, as you said, I suspect games now. I mean, was it they're just going to run quicker and maybe at a higher frame rate. It's not the jump isn't like, wow, this is a huge major complete twist. It might be some ray tracing aspects into it, but in terms of the actual games themselves, that's my concern. Is are we getting to that peak? I'm waiting for that peak, where things are going to be to the point where it is just so photorealistic and it's running smoothly and it's running at the top end. I'm just kind of in my head, it's like, are we about 10 years away from that, or are we a lot sooner? So that's what I'm kind of, that's where I think the next jump is going to be, where it's photorealistic. So you look at like a Hellblade 2, the photorealism there, but that as full screen running, with no issues whatsoever, no frame drops or anything like that. Maybe even more than that sort of thing. That's how I'm kind of gauging our next big jump, and I'm trying to work out mentally when's it going to be, so I can save the money for the next iteration. It's like, do I skip the next iteration and jump for the one after, or do I?
Yeah, I think we're a good while off from achieving. I think you're always going to be able to push fidelity more and more as hardware gets more powerful and as you get more machine learning features as well. So, and ultimately the thing that stops games becoming like super photorealistic isn't really hardware at this point. It's actually more time and money. Like those are the things, like to make very, very high intensity AAA fidelity games is actually, it's not that the hardware isn't there to do it. I mean, there's tons of hardware that's capable of running that. It's more just, the amount of time and the amount of money you would need to give to a dev studio to make something like that is. I mean, look at like E-Day,
Oh,
right? I mean, I
Hellblade.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, Hellblade's one. Like E-Day, I know we haven't seen it running in game, but conceivably it's going to look pretty bonkers.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
But the coalition have kind of ideated on UE for years before they've even started production
Mhm.
of Gears. So that shows you how long they've taken just to get like familiar with the engine to the extent where they're like, okay, now we're confident we can build the game that we want. So that's taken a lot of money and time just to get to that point. But yeah, I think there's a lot to come in terms of fidelity. I mean, you only have to look at now compared to the beginning of the generation. There's already been pretty substantial leap in visuals in many games.
Well, this is
now.
the thing. It
So,
jumps and jumps and jumps, isn't it? It's
yeah,
getting quicker and quicker and quicker.
You're never going to get like the PS2 to PS3 jump or PS1 to PS2. Like that's never going to happen again.
Well, this is the thing. This is where I
But
was kind of like. This is where the photorealism. It's like this. Always that jump from say this to literally photorealistic.
yeah, like that's just not gonna like. It's just you're not gonna get because that's like a PS1 to PS2 jump, effectively from where we are now. Like, and
I think it's smaller increments, isn't it? That's
exactly.
what
Yeah, it's like it's more incremental now. So gen on gen, you're getting like, okay, the fidelity is really being pushed, and then it's being pushed again, and then it's being pushed. Like, and you're getting to the point where could you like even if you were last gen, you wouldn't have imagined a game from next gen looking like Hellblade 2 necessarily, right? Looking that realistic and that incredible. So we haven't even seen some of the bigger studios. Look at GTA 6, right? That's going to look bonkers when that comes out. Naughty Dog's next game is probably going to look bonkers. So there's all you're going to get jumps. They're just not going to be PS2 to PS3 or or PS1 to PS2. It's just going to happen over time. So you might get a jump like that if you look at, say, I don't know, PS3 to PS6. You might be like, oh wow, that's an absolutely gigantic jump. But that's
that's where that's where I'm kind of working out. Is like with your Series X now is I suppose it's obviously on an individual and personal level, isn't it? You're going to go right. Actually, that's worth. As I said, it's like the next iteration is probably worth it to me because of these items. Or it could be actually no, the one after that is going to be the one that's worth it because of the actual. It's a bigger jump in terms of what you're getting, what your terms over.
Yeah.
But also, I think hardware is going. It seems to be. I don't know if this is true. You might know. It's like, do you think hardware is slowing down in terms of sales? Because the price tag was a little bit. Whew, that was like, oh, that's 700
in terms of consoles and stuff. You mean? I don't think they're slowing down necessarily. I just think that the console market's just a mature market, so there's not really much growth there. There's bits that you can grow within the console market, but there's not. That doesn't mean it's not a healthy, buoyant market because it still is. It's just that you're not going to be able to. There's kind of a cap really that we've reached in terms of console sales. So that naturally is going to slow down, and then obviously the prices at the moment are very high because the manufacturers are struggling to get semiconductor chip prices that are what they once were. You know, they've been driven up as well. So
Mhm.
like they're passing that cost on to the consumer. So that's why the PS5 Pro costs like £700 basically. Even if I think it's a good piece of hardware, but obviously like Sony just don't want to subsidize the cost of that anymore, and they want you to
Well,
just
that's it. You've got to
buy it.
realise Microsoft
Yeah.
subsidised the cost of the Series X.
Yeah,
They
I
did
mean,
that,
I
yeah.
think Sony subsidized the cost of the PlayStation 5 at launch because it
Yeah, I
wasn't
think they
actually
did. Yeah,
that
I think you're right.
expensive.
Yeah.
But they're just not willing to do that. So, I mean, next gen, I expect these consoles to be higher priced, than they were this gen. So,
I think you're right. I think the problem that kind of I worries is that the higher the price, the less the customer base is going to be able to afford it. At
yeah,
this
for sure.
current
For
stage,
sure. Yeah.
I think there's a fine balance upon which you're going to have to kind of do both, and yeah, I think a lot of people will be like going, Well, I mean, you saw the reaction of the £700 online. People
Yeah.
were like, "Oh my god, that can't be possible!" And then people are like, "Oh yeah, I'll pay that." And then others were like, "There's just no way in hell am I going to be able to do that." You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the concern for me is if that balance isn't done well enough, then it's going to stagnate the market slightly. And I think that's where they're going to have to kind of it's always that very careful balance of profit over. Well, in some cases, it hasn't been profit, isn't it? It's as you said, it's subsidised. And this is the thing. Well, I think we've kind of forgotten about is that Microsoft and PlayStation subsidised these consoles into people's houses so they could get the subscription models being paid for. And that's how they come back. It's now, isn't it? It's now more of a subscription basis that's keeping them in the money rather than say the hardware is.
Yeah, the software sales generally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's. I think they can push prices up higher and not feel too much resistance from consumers, because ultimately a lot of the people that are buying consoles are, that's your hobby, right? It's gaming, and you're quite willing to spend that bit extra, save that bit extra for that. So, not for consoles like the pros, it's a niche product in an already kind of very specific market. It's for ultra enthusiasts, right? That's who it's for. So it will sell a few million units, but it's not going to be the dominant PlayStation 5 seller from here on out. Like, that would be the PlayStation 5. But
well, that's what I said. I think for me, in a way, it's a kind of when the Pro comes out, if they're clever, they'll just slightly drop the price of the PlayStation 5, and that will then boom. That'll become the new Christmas, system seller.
Yeah, I mean, in the
and then,
past,
as you
they
said, the
have
bigger
done
people,
that.
the more. Go on.
No, I was going to say, I mean, in the past they have done that, but I'm just not that confident they'll do it this time. Like in the past, like it would be the perfect time to drop the price of your main console, your big seller, the PlayStation 5. But I think for Sony, I think it's still too expensive, and they'd be losing too much if they drop the price. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we've got to the point where they were willing to drop it a bit, but don't forget Sony raised the price of the console.
Oh, I forgot about
in
that.
the
Yes, you're
generation.
right.
So did Microsoft. So like
Yeah,
that's unprecedented for anybody to do that. It's because of how much these cost to manufacture, because of semiconductor prices and all the other components that go into it. There's huge demand for that silicon, and all the components that go into that because of this massive AI boom, and everybody's trying to get their hands on it, and so the prices have just gone way up for people. So
just
and
generally,
ultimately,
yeah.
at the end of it, consumer it's passed on some of the pricing. So but look, I mean, like, people are going to buy, like, enthusiast gamers are going to buy products at ridiculous prices. Look at the 4090.
It's true. Yeah,
well, we've got one. We've got one in the. We've got one on the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
got in Luke.
no bones about paying that price for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like if the
3 of 'em.
product's really good, which the 4090 is,
Yeah.
but like if it's really good, and I know that's like a ridiculous example because it's very expensive and stuff like that, but nonetheless, like if you can, like, and you're an enthusiast, you will always be like, there'll always be that measure of justification about the thing that you want to buy. You'll be like, yeah, well, you know, £700 for a console is a lot, but I will use it a lot and I will get a lot of hours out of it. So you know what, actually, that's not that bad. You know, so you know, that goes on.
And
at
that's
any
the thing,
level.
isn't it? That's the thing. I think the kind of it's like, and I suppose a lot of people say, well, it's £700. I don't have to mess around. Don't have to upgrade it to now.
Yeah,
You know,
I've just got
that's it for the next 3 or 4 years. I can now just worry about the games as well. You know, I don't have to kind of tweak too much about it. It's got itself. What was it? Like it's 2 terabyte hard drive. You know, it's not hard drive, SSD. You know, if I want to tweak it, I can, but I don't have to. That's it, £700, and I'm sorted
And
for about 3 or 4 years.
for a lot of people, it's not £700 because they'll sell their PS5. You
Mm.
know, they'll go, oh, okay, well, I sold that for £300. So it's actually only, you know,
Another 400, 400, yeah.
£400.
Yeah, a lot of people will do that. You're right. That's correct.
So they won't look at it as a £700 purchase. You know, they'll go, well, I you know, I'm only
Do
paying
you know
£400
what?
for it.
That's where I've always ever gone wrong because I don't know about you. I've always kept my old systems.
Oh, see, I always
You've got
sell them,
sense. There's
so-
people that there's people out there that sold all their classic games, etc. Not knowing in years to come it would be,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So you've done the right thing, removable.
It's really annoying because I'm guilty of that. I've sold, like, you know, the Crystal Xbox, the
Yep.
OG, you know, like I sold that. The only thing I ever held on to, like, that was big and physical that I couldn't bear to part with is I have Steel Battalion, the controller.
Oh, right.
So, and I've got that in storage, and that's the only, like, even I don't have the console to play it on, but I do have the huge box in the game and the massive 45 button controller still to this day, which I think is worth like
It's
a
worth
fair
quite a bit,
of money,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I've got my original 360. I've got I've got all of them up to the Series X. I've just got them sitting there, and I was like, well, my idea is like, do you know what? I'll give the 360 to my son when he's a little bit older. He can play on that, you know. And then when he's a little bit older, he'll then get the Xbox One, and then the younger one will get 360. That's how that's how in my head I was playing it. That's unlikely to happen though.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's probably just gonna be stuck on the shelf there, and I was like, I just admire it. You know, it's I shouldn't do, but it is. It's the same thing I've got, like, Sega Mega CD. You know, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna plug this up and play it, and it's like I'm not touching it. I just want to keep it there and touch it, stroke my hand every now and then.
yeah, I do. Funnily enough, when I was in Japan, I bought I bought an original copy of Biohazard 2 on PlayStation.
Oh, wow.
And an original copy of Final Fantasy 7.
Was it expensive, or was it still quite?
They weren't too bad, actually.
priced?
I think Biohazard 2 was, which is obviously Resident Evil 2, was £40, and Final Fantasy
That's
7.
good.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 was about, I think, £40 again. So, and I don't have a PlayStation. Like, it's just purely something
I know
I
what
can
you
put
mean.
on my
It's
shelf
just
in a
collection.
shrink wrap and be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, those are two of my favorite games from when I was growing up as a gamer. So I'm going to keep those there as like a little thing. And, you know, maybe in 25 years, they'll be worth, you know, a lot more money as well. So,
Oh, God, yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, I think most people, however, will just at least with the PS5 and stuff, will just sell it if they're getting the Pro, so they can get the Pro. I'll be selling my PlayStation 5, so to do that. So
it's a fair point, but welcome to Guardian Grimmore. Thanks for popping in, mate. Hope you're well. But no, a lot of people will do that want a PS5 Pro.
Yeah, that's I've always faltered. I've always kept. I've got the old Xbox Scorpio, and it's like I can't really want to part with it. You know, I don't know. It's just that slight collector in me that's like gonna keep it on the shelf. Actually, my Scorpio is actually upstairs in my bedroom, and then I've got my Series X down in the living room, and then I kind of switch between both of them, depending on where I am. So, in fairness, both are still getting a bit of usage out of it. So I think yeah, I forgot about that. That's me with my own bias, thinking of everyone and how they're going to do it. It's like, oh, I'm just going to keep that. But you're right, they will probably just, as you said, sell off the PS5. Well, that would, I suppose, then if that's the case, that means there'll be more PS5s it'll bring more PS5s into
it should do.
into the ecosystem.
Yeah,
because that's another thing, isn't it? That secondhand. That's one thing we keep forgetting about. Is the secondhand market is still flourishing.
Yeah.
So, especially for retro consoles, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, definitely. Even for modern stuff, it is, because obviously for a lot of people, that's the only way they can get in. You know, they might only be able to afford a PS5 by getting it secondhand or something, you know, or a Series X or an S or whatever. So it's, you know, it's still a very lucrative market for people to look at.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd forgotten about that sort of side of things. The secondhand markets are still. I mean, I go into CEX all the time, and it's people are still purchasing stuff that are like. I mean, I'm seeing some like, you know, from the Sega Saturn games that are like 200 quid, and you're like, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
And people are buying it though. People are selling it, buying it. You know, so yeah, I think you're right. I think it's I'll be interested to see what Microsoft is going to do now with the PS Pro. What their response is going to be. Are they going to go down the handheld market, or do you think they're going to do a Series X Pro X?
Yeah. No, I don't think they'll have a mid-gen refresh. Yeah, I think they said, you know, Phil said that they saw the Series X as basically that.
I think if they bring a new console out, they'll be jumping into next gen.
Yeah, it'll be next gen. I suspect the next gen will be.
They will want to beat
PS and a handheld.
They will try and beat PS to it though. They will.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think? Well, I was about to say, do you think that their next thing will be just a handheld now as their mid-gen refresh? That's what they're going to be leaning towards now. Is a more of like a handheld aspect to hit with that ecosystem, which is what they're trying to sell. And then obviously, as you said, in 2026, that's when the big system seller will be coming out.
Yeah, no, I think that whenever they hit next gen, whenever that is, that they will launch with a console and a handheld. I think there will.
Oh, you think it's going to be a package deal?
Well, not to, as in, I don't think you can.
No. You know what I'm saying? Packages, both things that come out at the same time.
Yeah, they'll come out at the same time, or ish around the same time. I think the point is that, you know, that will be, the handheld will be part of their next gen experience. You know, which I'm actually quite excited about.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do, and I think I mentioned this numerous times, was that, you know, they're trying to get their online gaming to work flawlessly, not online, but you know what I'm talking about. It's what's it called? Their streaming services, you know, online streaming services without a console to work flawlessly, which is why I was quite happy for them and Nvidia to kind of, you know, link together. I still think, you know, both of them have got very good, you know, play only online systems, you know. So yeah, I think you're right. Maybe they're trying to just tidy that up, get that as firmed as well as possible, and then, as you already said, just the next one could be just like a handheld and a, you know, what I'd classify as next. Yeah, I really hope they don't go digital though, just digital only. I do use my disk drive.
Oh no, I'm unfortunately removable. I fully believe there's going to be no disk drive at all.
I think you'll be able to get a disk drive, but I think it'll be just separate next.
Because I'll be honest, the likes of Game are basically, or I believe all the shops are shutting. All of them are. The one there was.
Game went into that kind of died a death anyway, because
they did. But I just personally believe that Microsoft look at the data and the majority of it's downloads they're selling. And I don't think they're going to have a disc drive. They'll probably have an option, obviously, for you to buy one, but I don't think it would be packed in. It'd be digital.
Yeah, I think
The
I
console
think
won't be no
next gen is-
cheaper though, but it won't have one.
No,
It won't be.
no. I think next gen is just Sony and Microsoft.
They'll
be an add-on
yeah.
if you want to
I've
get
got
it.
I've got the heckles on the back of my neck when I just think of a digital only
I know you do. I know.
ecosystem. I really it's just in terms of game preservation and just like that, it's just the heckles on the back of my neck. Something physical is just. I think even just for the game preservation itself, I think it's always a good idea to have a physical version. And I know the benefits of digital only. Clearly not the price, because let's face it, digital only is not exactly the same price as a physical. But I still kind of think, I don't know. I think a lot more people would still be interested in physicals.
Yeah, I think there's still a market.
If it was allowed for, I think that's the thing. I think they've kind of throttling it to make it a little bit more digital only.
Yeah.
Because exactly, it's as Masuka says, look at Nintendo. They're physical. And they're going strong. So
yeah, but they push physical though.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
The other companies don't.
Yeah.
The other companies don't.
And this is where I think if they pushed physical, most people would still buy some physical, But I think you're right. I think because it's easier though. It's easier for digital only, isn't it? Let's face it. It's like
it's the convenience of it. Yeah.
It's like cash and card. What's more convenient? Card. 100% it is. It's 100% more convenient. So. There is the. I don't know. I'd like to see a world of both exist simultaneously, where you wish to have a physical copy, it's there. Okay, maybe you spend. I don't know. Do you know what? I'd probably spend £5 to £10 more for a physical copy if I knew I could get one. And it could be one of those ones where you order it only, and then you have to wait, I don't know, 6 months down the line or something. It comes out, and then it's 6 months down the line. If you want a physical copy, you order it.
Okay.
Or it could be like an order-only basis. I think that would be the best of both worlds, where you get your digital copies, but also if you wanted to go down your physical, they could produce the physicality version of it. That's the ideal future for me in my head. That would be just, I know it's never going to happen, but I'm old. I like physical. I like things I can touch. It's like, doorknobs and light switches. I like physical light switches, not the old the touch ones. I'm old. I don't know. It's just me. Luke's probably like old fart.
No, I mean I do like some physical stuff, but I am definitely.
Well, you bought a whole load from Japan, so I know you do.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of gaming, like I Switch, I do still tend to buy mostly physical on.
My brother does as well with a Switch, even though the Switch is in my house.
Yeah, it's strange. It's the only one I do buy physical on, but everything else I'm just completely digital. I think Steam has a big part of that. That kind of that people who kind of grew into Steam, have just got used to it. And it is nice having the convenience of it. But there should always be an option for sure. As long as they give an option and they're producing physical games, I think that's fine.
That's what I'd agree with. Yes. Because look at yourself. You went and bought a physical version.
Yeah.
In Japan, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's like if you had the option. That's the thing. It's the choice. I think it's when you have the choice, I'm happy. When it's more being forced down one particular path, that worries me slightly. Especially when you see, some of the events that have happened, in the last 10 years, regards to digital media being moved, removed in some cases, or fully deleted in some cases, or even lost to time. Yeah. I think it's one of those things that it's like, there was someone recently, They were trying to find a game, and he'd literally, even the developers, like, I've lost it to time. It's just like we don't know, we don't have it. We only made, like, I think it's like 3,000 copies of this particular game. And it was a PC game, ironically. Only 3,000 copies had been made, and they found someone who had the disc. And because he had the disc, they were able to then go back, preserve it, copy it, and produce it again.
Yeah.
That's nice. That they didn't try
And
and
it was
rip
just-
the guy off big time, say I want 14 grand or something for it.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it was the guy. He was. I think the guy who had it was. I don't know. It was one of the guys. I think it was the developer's. I don't know, son or something. And he'd given it to his mate as a present years back, sort of thing. And his mate had it something along the line. And he just basically said, "Oh yeah, I've got a copy of it." It's like, look, can we copy it? You'll still have the physical edition, but can we copy it, because there's no other existence that we know of? And he's like, yeah, sure, go for it. And that's how they kind of then managed to kind of keep it preserved, and just, so I think, that's a sort of thing that I'd like to see, because games are lost to time quite often, and it's not as if it's not happening even now, because it does happen even now. We've seen games that are like 2 or 3 years old that have just like disappeared. Concord.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
That's definitely disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically, as a friend of ours, like I think it's Berserker, and he's bought the physical edition for it. He's like, I'll just keep it. I'm not going to play. I'm just going to keep it though, just in case. But what I'm saying is, what was the other one? Was it an Atari game? Was it like, it was not Ghostbusters or something? It was they found it in a dump. They found a dump of like
E.T. It was E.T.
E.T.
Wasn't it?
It was E.T.
Yeah.
And they managed to get from all that. They managed to find the code, reintroduce the code, and it was preserved. So and that's exactly the same. So it's not as if it's it happens from modern. It's happening as we're losing media as we go along. And I think just for a game preservation side of things, it would be nicer to at least have some sort of physical evidence of it, just for that alone.
It would, because Microsoft talks about game preservation, but yeah, they're the company that want you to go digital. So I think what they mean is that they must have loads of backup. I don't get what they mean, because I think they must have loads of backups or something, loads of discs or hard drives for. I don't know, but they bang on about it. But
some of their games have been lost to time. That's the thing as well.
Okay.
Some of their games have also been lost to time. So it's a case of, I think it's a case of, it all depends on cost, and that's the thing. Money where it is. And that's why I said, even if it was like a physical on demand, that's why my head was going. Physical on demand. So you've got a digital library, but if you want a physical, they can print you off a physical on-demand copy for, say, an extra $10 £10 more. That, I think, would be a very good option. So that if you wanted, if you're digital, it's right there. But if you wanted a physical, we can ship it out to you. It's going to cost you an extra £10. People are like, oh, yeah, okay. Imagine if that was their ethos. Imagine that was actually even in the Xbox store. Do you want digital or do you want physical shipped here?
Exactly. Good idea.
I think it.
Well, I'm going to wrap the show up there. I am. Honestly, it's been a really fun show. It has. But I just must mention our partner, which I haven't mentioned once. We are partners with GamerHub.co.uk. If you want to check it out, it's a good website. GamerHub.co.uk to do news and reviews, so please check it out. A good bunch of creators over there. But yeah, thanks, Luke. It's been fascinating learning about your trip to Tokyo and the differences between here and there. We've got bins, they haven't got bins, things like that.
Yeah,
but
all the bin differences.
But no, it was fun learning about your story. Your holiday, I mean. Store. I said the wrong thing. Because I do content, you see, on different platforms. It goes. They use the word story a lot. I see it all the time on LinkedIn. People saying story. That's why.
I'm waiting for Luke's memoir, A Journey to Japan.
Yeah.
A Luke Steele adventure. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh,
One day.
one day.
One day.
But yeah, Luke, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I'll let you get off to go to bed because I know you got to get up early tomorrow.
Back to Japan.
Back to
That's
Japan,
why.
He's off to get another caseload of stuff.
Yeah. Bring 2 suitcases empty this time.
Oh God, I envy you, honestly, mate. I saw it and I was like,
After this, I'm going to go to the thread and have a look.
honestly,
Yeah,
look at
The
stuff he's
ones I
posted.
missed.
It
I've
is
seen 2 or 3
superb.
for them, but I've obviously missed a load of them. I have.
Mm.
But yeah, no, thanks for coming on, Luke.
Yeah, no worries.
Are you ever bringing that podcast back with Scott, or as and when?
Yeah, as and when, maybe. Yeah.
It's been
Mm,
ages.
there's certainly, yeah, it has been ages. Yeah, there's certainly a lot to talk about. So yeah, watch this space.
Untitled podcast, is it? Gaming podcast. What's the name? Untitled.
Untitled Gaming Podcast.
That's it. Untitled Gaming
Yeah.
Podcast.
That's the one. So yeah, possibly. And yeah, thank you for having me. Pleasure as always, chatting to you and Removable. And
hopefully next time we get you on, VJ may be back, but he's on a little bit of a break at the minute. He is. He would have been the perfect person to talk to you.
No,
This would have been the whole 2 hours.
Yeah.
This would have been.
Yes, very
But I'm
much so.
sure he
I wanted to, but I got told not to. So it's like, fine, I kept you my word.
But
Exactly.
I'm sure when he's back, I'll have you back on because he would love to talk to you about it. He will.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
will, definitely. But
Be
I'll
happy
have
to.
you back on at some point anyway because we always do.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
You're always a good guest, Luke. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Alright.
Even though most people probably already know, but
Yeah. Just follow me at LukeSteele90 on X. That's the best place.
cheers,
Amen.
Luke. I'm RemovableSanity. Where can people find you? It's been a good show tonight.
Christ.
It has.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Obviously, I was looking forward to hearing about Luke's trip. I usually saw, especially about the food. It's like, that's it. I'm hungry now, ironically,
Yeah.
listening to the blooming food you talked about. I was like, oh, God, I was thinking about eating food now because of you. But it's brilliant to have Luke on. Definitely have him back again. But in terms of finding me, you can find me on this podcast or on Twitter, X, Minds, Rumble, and YouTube under the name RemovableSanity.
Thanks, Removable. And you can find him all them places. Just about all the links are there. I don't think I've got the Minds link. You might have to give me that. But check the links, Removable, and tell me what I've missed.
Will do.
But then I'll have it in there permanently. All the links. So, but thanks everyone. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, especially Apple, because there's a lot of you, please leave me a review and then message me and tell me, and I'll read your review out on the air. There's quite a lot of Apple Podcast listeners, so if you review the podcast, tell me, screenshot it, or tell me which country, because Apple doesn't make it easy. You have to go through all of them. The reviews, I will read it out on air. But anyway, thanks everyone for listening and listening live. Masuku, Daz, Guardian, Grimore, Masuku, Scott. Oh, who else was it? Back from the Dead. Pinky of Legend. I think that might be it. If I've missed anyone, sorry. Right, and I'll be back next week with Masuku on. But yeah, have a good week, everyone.
Enjoy all.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hey.